This is a short 5-minute video on a cartoon strip. You heard it right, it's a cartoon strip. Not any ordinary cartoon, the iconic Peanuts by the late Charles M. Schulz. So in my Twitter feed last week, I saw this short strip that I would not be lying if I said it has been a source of constant thinking and rethinking and educational for me, inspirational even, that I feel compelled to create this video. So what was so compelling about this strip, you might ask? Let me explain. Let me describe the cartoon first. Two characters, the good old Charlie Brown and Snoopy, sitting side by side facing a lake. And Charlie Brown says, "Someday we shall all die, Snoopy." Snoopy replies, "True, but on all the other days, we will not." That's the cartoon. The reason it hit me so hard is because this is something that happens in our lives day in and day out, and we may not even realize it. How so? So Charlie Brown in this strip puts on the garb of a provocateur, somebody who is out to provoke you, somebody who is making a very powerful statement but has a very negative undertone to it. And he may not realize it, but it can cause a general malaise in the environment because of what he's saying. And these are people that you and I encounter, people who always see the glass half empty, people who are always looking for negativity around them, people who like to provoke and instigate and talk about the things that are going wrong versus the positives. But it's also people like you and me who sometimes fall into that trap. Why? Because maybe you had a bad day at work, maybe you missed your deadline, you're stressed out, maybe the weekend is coming up and you have lots of chores to do, somebody is ill in your family, it doesn't matter. There are various reasons that get us down. And without knowing, we talk about it and the negative undertone just spreads like cancer. Let's focus on Snoopy for a minute. So how did Snoopy respond to this? The first thing he said is true. Not but, not no. Just acknowledging what Charlie Brown is saying. Very, very powerful. Second thing he did was change the perspective. How so? He says, but on all the other days. Remember what Charlie Brown said? Someday. He just changed the perspective, saying, hey, there are so many more days in our lives. That's not the day of reckoning. And it's so powerful, yet so simple. Because all you're doing is expanding the universe, changing Charlie's perspective, saying, let's not focus on that single day, on all the other days. And he signs it off saying, we will not. He could have said, we will not die, but then that would have re-emphasized the negative sentiment of dying. Instead, he says, we will not. Just 3-word phrase at the end, ending on a decisive note to close the discussion out. Without any confrontational sentiment. And from start to finish, he followed a prescribed script that's always bound to work. So when we encounter somebody who's trying to spread negativity, spread a sentiment which is bound to bring everybody else around you down, just follow the Snoopy script. First thing you do is acknowledge what the person is saying. Don't start attacking them, don't start defending them, just say, true. Now, you almost disarm them. The next thing is changing perspective. Just expand the scope of thinking. In this case, just like Snoopy did. One day, all the other days. And then finish it off with a decisive closing statement. Again, not meant to create conflict, but just something which is as simple as what Snoopy did, which is we will not. So again, hopefully you found this inspirational as much as I did. And there are lots of these strips that we can take inspiration from. This just happened to be one that caught my attention. So hopefully this video is of value to you, and hopefully I was able to transcribe and pass on some of the subliminal message that I was able to glean from this strip. Thank you. See you next time.